It starts with us and it ends with us. That is the mantra for almost every offensive line that steps on the field in college football. And today, On3 released their rankings for the top 10 offensive lines in college football. And we're going to be reacting to them and seeing that how they can attribute to their high-flying offenses. Thank you guys for listening in. My name is Lucas Hill. You can follow me on Twitter or X, as they now call it, at Lucas_Hill23. This is going to be a fantastic video. I love offensive linemen. I love what they bring to the table, and it's going to be a fun little ride. So let's go ahead and get straight into this. Looking at number 10, according to On3, it's Ole Miss that returns with the best offensive line. When you have three guys that combine for 111 starts in the SEC, there's a reason why this is going to be a good offensive line. They did such a great job of protecting Jackson Dart. I think this was arguably a fantastic offensive line. You saw what they did against Penn State and their defense. I mean, they just manhandled them. They just destroyed a very good defense. They had no answer to this offense. And seeing what they did against this team, that speaks volumes going into next year. Charlie Wise Jr. is going to have a fantastic offense. Not only do you bring back Jackson Dart, you have so many different guys that are going to be even better going into next year for this receiving group. Obviously, you lost Quinshon Judkins. No problem. It's okay. You got this. John Garrison may be one of the best offensive line coaches in the SEC right now when you have this much firepower coming into this team. Remember, he was a run game coordinator. So here's a team that is fantastic with their offensive line. They've been known for having some of the best offensive lines. He was at NC State, had Grant Gibson, had Chandler Zalva. Both guys went on to be all ACC selections. Also was an All-American as well. You also had Ikem Ekwonu, who's now with the New York Jets in the NFL right now. So this is just an unbelievable offensive lineman coach. He's in a fantastic position where Ole Miss is at. This team is just going to get better and better. You also got two transfers from Washington. Remember, they were the Joe Moore Award-winning offensive line last year. You got Julius Buelow, who's 6'8", 330-plus pounds, as well as Nate Calipo. If you see them pulling your way, if you're a defensive lineman, I'm ducking cover because I don't want to get smacked by any of these dudes. They are ferocious whenever they get off the football. It's just so – they're so dominant whenever they pull and whenever they hit the double team as well. You don't want to have that much meat in your chest, and they're just unbelievable whenever you get them in run support as well. Coming in at number 9 is Tennessee's offensive line. And Josh Heupel's system is perfect for it. It does some of the heavy lifting for Tennessee's offensive line, but because it's just so high-powered. And when you have guys like Brew McCoy that are coming back for next year, as well as Nico Iamaleava, not to mention Tennessee's dominant defense as well. When you look at this team, you bring back Cooper Mays, Javonte Sprangins, John Campbell Jr., who's going to be switching to right tackle this year. You can't ask for anything else better than that. Mays is arguably the leader so far of this crew. He is him and Sprangins are the most experienced right now. And, I mean, this is a guy that you really need, especially leading this group, because there's a lot of young guys coming in. You bring in Lance Hurd, who was a 5-star recruit coming out, played at LSU, played pretty well during his time there, decided to transfer because, I mean, this is a guy that was going to have to sit behind Will Campbell and Emory Jones. We'll get to those two later on in the video. So he'll be protecting Nico Iamalevea's blind side in 24. Not to mention, this is a fantastic group of offensive linemen, and you bring back 6-year seniors. You're bringing in Dane Davis. You're bringing in Jackson Lampy, guys that are senior leaders to go along with Cooper Mays. So those three combined are going to be the foundation for what Tennessee should continue to be going into the future of Josh Heupel's tenure with the Volunteers. They're not going to win the Joe Moore Award. I can tell you that. I just, with how they are and who they have to play, this is a team that still has to play Bama. They still got to play Georgia. And let's just be honest, they're playing two defensive lines that are just better than that. But, I mean, this is going to be an offensive line that's consistent. That's going to help Nico Iamaleava. He's not going to scramble very much. And they're very well with their execution, as well as being able to help in pass pro and run support. Now, going up to number 7 is Missouri. When you bring in Caden Green, we did a video on him not too long ago, and we highlighted him big time. This is a good offensive lineman. I mean, this was just a stud. Had 5 starts last year for Oklahoma. Played well for his freshman year. When he got on the field, he did fantastic. He's from Missouri. He's from Lee Summit. It's only about a few hours or so away from Columbus, Missouri. Number 2 recruit in Missouri. Here's a guy that played well whenever he was at Lee Summit. And he's going to bring in a guy as well with Javian Richardson, who's a JUCO guy, 6'7", big guy, strong as well. Both of these guys, Caden Green and Javian Richardson, both combining for around 6'6" each and averaging around 320 pounds. I played against Javian Richardson. This was a fantastic offensive lineman. He was from East Ascension. We played against him whenever I was in high school. I went up against him. This dude was a monster. I mean, just a dominant specimen at offensive line. Just watching him play, I mean, there's nothing more I can say other than just powerful. When he gets his hands up under your shoulder pads and when he gets those big hands on you, it's over with. You can forget it. You have to beat him with speed. Very technically sound coming out of his stance. Is not going to give up the big play very easily. Not as well. Yes, Javon Foster may have left. And there's a lot of buzz coming around Logan Reichart, 6'6", 370 at left guard. Another guy that should be feared whenever he pulls. So this is a guy that has a big future. And when you bring those two guys in, they're going to help this guy be even better as an offensive lineman. Now, going all the way up, we're going into the top 4 on 3. That's Alabama. You lost J.C. Latham, I know. But you got another Joe Moore Award offensive lineman in Tyler Booker. You bring in Parker Browlisford, Jaden Roberts, the best interior group in the nation. All 3 are guys are top 10 guards and centers, according to PFF. Caden Proctor is coming back after his stint in Iowa, after he grabbed the money and took off. So there's not only that, but you have a guy that with Seth McLaughlin and Terrence Ferguson that came to Alabama from the portal. Despite losing those guys, the right tackle is still open. Proctor might move there if depth-wise that this team hasn't been able to accomplish. Now, Pritchett's only going into his redshirt sophomore year. He still has time to develop. But, I mean, his window is beginning to close a lot. He hasn't lived up to his full potential where he was whenever he was coming out of high school. This was a 5-star recruit coming out. This was a top 5 offensive lineman in the class of 22. And so far, he hasn't done much to impress NFL scouts, but there's a bright future for this kid. So I think with the added pressure about an open spot at right tackle, he could be even better going into the rest of this offseason and developing himself into a mature offensive tackle going into the fall. Going in at number 3, Georgia. This is a team that probably should have won the Joe Moore Award back in 22, and they deservedly so. You got to replace a guy like Amarius Mims and Cedric Van Pran, but you got 6 guys with starting experience. Tate Ratledge is a fantastic guard. Dylan Fairchild as well. You have Ernest Green, who should have a lot of promise going into this year. I'm not going to lie to you. I do think Amarius Mims kind of went into the draft a bit early, but because he still has a lot to prove. I think if Mims would have came back, this is probably the number 1 offensive line. But here's a team that is going to have to rely on this offensive line. They've had to do that for the last 3 years. They've done well so far. But all it is, it's the same mentality that has been the same thing in the Kirby Smart era, which is reload, revamp, same mentality, same expectations. Nothing short of a national title is going to be the expectation for Georgia going into this year, and it's going to start with that unit up front. Number 2 is Texas. Kelvin Banks and Will Campbell are the 2 best offensive linemen in college football. It's a tie for those 2. Not only that, you bring 3 other starters back up front. You get DJ Campbell, who's a former 5-star. You have a 5th-year senior in Jake Majors, 41 career starts, one of the most consistent centers in the nation. You have Kyle Flood, who's done fantastic building up this offensive line room. You get Cam Williams, who originally committed to Oregon, but hey, the NIL money speaks volumes. So that got him there. And in Texas, everything's expensive there. Flood's an excellent offensive line coach. He was a guy that was a former offensive line coach in the NFL. He was at Alabama for a little while. He was with Greg Schiano for close to 10 years at Rutgers. So he learned from some of the best coaches in all of college football. You got Cam Williams, who's a blue chip signee, which we already mentioned. He's going to take over at left tackle. Big guy. Huge guy. He's a guy that I'm really excited to see. I think that this group of offensive linemen, this recruiting class is really good. They're really, really good. And they have a lot of potential. Williams may be the best one out of all of them to me. And then number 1, it's a no-brainer here. It's LSU. When you have 2 top 10 picks going into next year in Will Campbell and Emory Jones, that's scary. Not only that, Will Campbell has every right to claim himself as the number 1 overall pick going into next year's draft. Now, Jones graded out as the 4th best tackle in the SEC in 2023, according to PFF. You also return 2 starting guys, Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier. You have a new center in DJ Chester, but you also have to worry about the depth. That's really the only thing that you need to be worried about if you're LSU. You lost Lance Hurd. You lost Marlon Martinez, who I think is now either at Missouri or he's at Mississippi State. Chester was an All-American Bowl representative during his senior year. Just finished his redshirt year last year. Here it is for his first year. He's going to be the new center. He's more than capable to handle this job. Played in the Missouri game. Remember, Charles Turner had an injury, so just barely got in for his opportunities just to preserve his redshirt availability. Turner is right now with the New England Patriots. So Chester's well deservedly so. Great understanding of LSU's offensive scheme, and Joe Moore is going to have himself a field day with that center. Because I'm telling you, he's quick snapping the football, quick off the line, and quick being off of his feet. And you already know about Emory Jones and Will Campbell, the two best offensive line prospects in all of college football. Will Campbell's been doing it since he stepped on the field as a true freshman, and Emory Jones has done the same thing since really he made his name known during the Alabama game because he was dominant during that game. So this is a guy that you can ride on, you can rely on him, and I'm telling you, this LSU offensive line with a brand new quarterback in their backfield who's capable of being a star. I'm not saying he's going to be like Jaden Daniels, but he will be close to a Jaden Daniels as well. So this offensive line is going to have a lot of struggles. Don't get me wrong, brand new center. There's going to have their issues, but this is a team that's going to band together. But if they can get some depth at their offensive line position, there's no doubt in my mind that this is an offense that's still a contender to be a threat to in the SEC, and is still a college football playoff contender because of LSU's offensive line. Want to thank our friends over at MyBookie. The NBA playoffs are heating up. It's the perfect time to elevate your game with MyBookie. You can bet from anywhere, anytime, so you never miss a shot to cash in on a play. You can even live stream and bet on the games right from the sportsbook, giving you everything you'll need to decide, either to cash it out or let it ride. MyBookie really makes it easy to get paid with tons of boosted props and slam dunk parlays, and new boosts are now posted on the daily. So go ahead, give yourself a head start today and play with house money using code SECU when you make your first deposit. That's SECU to claim a limited time bonus when you sign up and make your first deposit. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Must be 21 or older to use. Not available in all states. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER. Thank you guys for listening in to another great episode of SEC Unfiltered. We'll see you guys on the next time. And for Lucas Hill, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.